Okay, so let's look at a few example codes for classes. I posted these on Canvas. So this is you can create an empty class also that does nothing, and if for that you just need to type class and then we'll give it whatever name you want and then just add a pass in that. So that just creates an empty class. If you run this, it's not going to do anything. Okay. So these are some examples I took directly from Python documentation. The links are the link is given if you want to check out more examples. So this is an example of a class that so this demonstrates that you can use class in a trivial way, but you shouldn't do that. Like that's not the purpose of classes. But this is a good example of what are the possibilities. So you can also have a class where you have just a variable in it with some value, and then a function that just prints out or returns a string, right? So when you run this, so here we created an object or an instance, and then if you do x.I, it's just going to print out this 1 2 3 4 5, and then if you do x.F with empty parentheses, it's going to print out hello world, right? So that's what you get over here. So this is just another simple example of a class. This is a bit more practical, where you're basically creating a complex number, right? Remember, you guys have quite sure seen complex numbers. So a complex number is just z, for example, is x plus I y, right, with the real part and then an imaginary part, right? So we're not we're just gonna look at some a class that creates a complex number, and then it has a real part and an imaginary part. So the real part, as I said, in the video, in the previous video also, that the underscore over here is optional, right? The examples had that, so that's optional. That's more or less convention. So again, if you this class just creates a complex number that has a real part and an imaginary part. So now you can create as many complex numbers you want, right? So this is how you're basically creating a database of complex numbers, for example. So this creates a complex number with real part 3, and then the imaginary part is minus 4.5. And then if you run this, it prints out that x, and then it prints out the y also. So this is a different complex number that you created, and you can just go on and create as many complex numbers as you want. So let's look at that. So I've already been through the rectangle part, and I'm just gonna run the code over here. So this is again on Canvas. So again, we have these the initialization part, the setters, and the getters over here, and then the area, and then the parameter, and then the string method, right? So now you can create any number of rectangles you want with this. If you again don't enter anything in the parentheses, it's going to give it these default values of width and height equal to 1. So if you run this, it's just going to print out R1 to have a width of 1. If you can set the width, so again, I'm using the get method over here, and I'm using the set method over here to basically set the width to be 2. So if you run this, you get the width. So this first one prints out 1, and the second one, because I've changed it, it prints out 2. Okay, so what if you don't have these setters and getters, right? So what if you don't have that? Then Python is not going to let you set anything. So this example, I've just shown you that if you're missing the setters and getters, you can obviously set whatever you want over here, but then you won't be able to change it, right? So for example, so I've created a rectangle over here that has a width of 4, height of 5. So if I run this, it prints out the values of the area, the perimeter. But if I try to set something, so I've commented this out. So now I'm going to uncomment it. So it's going to give an error. So it says that it has no attribute. Right. So these these attributes are needed to change the inputs to the classes or the arguments of the classes. So again, this one is we're using the rectangle. So this rectangle is the class is stored in this file name, right? And then I'm going to use that the module name and the class name, and then I'm gonna this is what we did on the slides where we're creating an object with width 4 and height 5. And this is again the default values, and this is where it's the width is 4 and height is 1. And make sure go ahead and try to change these values so that you get a better feeling of what this is. And when you work on the worksheet, it's going to help also. So this is again what we've been through. So it's again importing and then creating an object over here, and then you are setting the width and the height by using the setters, and then you're using the getters to get the width and the height, and then this is for the area and the perimeter. So if you run this, you can see that. But make sure your I think I called it rectangle. I think I changed the code a little bit, but that's fine. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is it for the code examples. Make sure you download these codes and modify them and try to change things. Okay, let me know if you have any questions.